So you have instructions in your lecture notes for how to do these things in the calculators, but I thought I'd walk you through it. So you can either try the instructions in the lecture notes or just watch this video, and I'll show you how. We're going to go ahead and use this data set, which is middle school girls and the length of the phone call they had last week, the longest one. And I'm going to show you how to find median, IQR, mean, and standard deviation using the big calculator. I'm going to make the next video on the little calculator, so depending which calculator you have, watch the appropriate video. So the first thing that we need to do is that we need to enter all of this data, right? 7, 11, all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to stat. This is where all of statistics happens for now. So we're going to press stat, and we actually want to edit what our data is. So that's fine. We're on edit number 1. We're going to press the enter key. I know you can't see everything I'm doing. I should have like spread this up. I'm going to press enter. That's terrible. I have a cute little rabbit thing on my computer. Maybe I'll redo this with that. But anyways, press edit. One thing that will happen is you have other data in there, especially as we work through the course. The most important thing here is that you don't want to go and delete one by one. This is a pain in the ass. It takes forever. What you want to do instead is go up to L1, and you do not want to press delete, because if you do, that's what happens. You no longer have an L1. So I can bring it back. I am a master of bringing back the disappeared columns. In fact, this one was already missing L2. But what you want to do is you want to go up to L1 and press clear. So clear out the list. Now it tells you that L1 is going to have nothing in it. And you can say, okay, I'm cool with that, and press enter. And now you're going to enter all of that data. And I'm just pressing enter after each one. I know you can't see my fingers. 48, another 48. 73. And the one nice thing here is that when you finish, you can actually see it has this 15, right? It tells you what place you're on. That means I have entered 14 data values. So I can check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And I can feel pretty good that I haven't made any mistakes. My most common thing when I'm typing in my data is to especially leave off if there's a duplicate like those 48s. So I feel good that everything is in there right. After that, you're going to want to actually do some statistics. So one thing you might want to get used to is pressing second and mode to quit out of whatever screen you're in. Not necessary, but kind of nice. And we're going to go back to stat. We no longer need to edit this because it's already in there. We're going to over to calculate something. And we have just one variable, right? The length of that longest phone call. So we want some statistics on that one variable. So we're going to choose number 1. If you have a stats wizard on, this is what your screen is going to look like. It's going to say, where's the data? What are the frequencies? Now, frequency would mean if you had tallies. So if you had like number of siblings, and that was your variable, and you had 0, 1, 2, and then you had the number of people in the class who fell into each of those categories. Say 5, 7, 8. That's when you would want to have a frequency list. Since our data is literally just our data, we're going to leave that frequency list blank. And we're going to go down to calculate. And next time I make a video, I'm painting my nails first because this looks insane. All right, so calculate. Now here's all the pieces I said you would get, right? We have our mean. This is X bar. We have our standard deviation. I'll just quickly go through what these other things are. This is what would happen if you added all those up. If you wanted to know how much time do all of these girls talk on their longest calls. Don't know why. This is adding up all of the squares. It's useful if you were in a terrible class like I took at SDSU, our sample surveys class, where we had to like learn the calculations to deal with systematic, stratified, and cluster samples. We will ignore that. So these two summation things we don't care about. SX and sigma X. This is what I said is important. We have both our population standard deviation and our sample standard deviation. In this class, we always want our sample standard deviation. So that's the one we're going to grab. And basically, this is always going to have a little bit larger because we have sample data. It's not the true population, and we're using it to make some reference about the population. We have a check mark of like, yep, there were 14 things. And then if you scroll down, you get your whole, what we're going to learn in a second is our 5-number summary. So your median is there. It's 44. I don't have to do the cute little counting over thing. I just know what it is. Apparently it was between these two numbers. And our IQR, well, I'm always going to have to calculate that regardless of my software. Q3 minus Q1, 51 minus 15, which is 36. All right, so that's how to do this with the graphing calculator. You can get all the things that matter for this course from the graphing calculator by just putting in a list. Oh, and one last thing, if you have an older graphing calculator, you won't have the wizard on. So let me go ahead and turn off that stats wizard so you can see what it looks like. If yours look just like mine, you're good. But if you don't have the stats wizard on, when you go to the 1-bar stats and press enter, it's not going to take you to that screen. And it defaults to using L1. So you can just press enter and it's going to give you all of that same values, all that same data. If you used a different list when you went here, 1-bar stats, you would just tell it, oh, I want my data from L1. And if you look down above each of the numbers, you can see all the different L's, right? So if I do second and then the number 1, it puts on the screen L1. So if I wanted to use a different list, that's how I could do so. But same stuff. All right?